disaster or man-made emergency. Right? Even though we're not going to have volcanoes here, but it is best that you have supplies that you can actually see and feel, so you know exactly what to do in case of that emergency.
By show of hands, how many in here knows someone in your direct family's number by heart? You don't have to look at your phone, you know their number. All right, that's a good amount of people. That's more people than I usually get when I ask that question. By show of hands, how many people in here know your neighbor's number by heart or in their name? No. So if something happened, and so I asked that question because it's not just about individual preparedness, but it's about community preparedness, community resilience, make sure that you're safe, secure, and resilient. So let's give you a scenario. Your house is on fire, you run out of the house, you leave your phone, you leave everything that's known to you, you don't know nobody in the area, and you know your neighbor is home, but they don't answer the door for know anybody. You gotta call them and tell them that you at their door. If you don't have their number, how are you going to call them? If their house is on fire, they're at work, how are you going to let them know that something happened to their home or loved ones? And so, you want to make sure that it's more about, a community preparedness, not just individual preparedness. How many people have to-go kits? That means you have a list of all your medications. You know that blue pill or that red pill that you take at noon, that white little small pill that you have to break in half, put in your yogurt and all the things. You know the name of that pill. Nobody. Nobody knows the medicine they take by heart. A couple of people, okay. So whenever a disaster arises, FEMA will give you a 30 to 45 day supply of that medication, but they won't just give you that medication up front. You have to tell them, okay, this is prescribed to me for this is the name of it, this is how often I take it, this is why I take it. But if you don't know those things, you're standing in line for days on end or waiting for them to contact your doctor to say, hey, does this person really take this medication and for what? And so we just want you all to be prepared to start taking into consideration, should I write numbers down? Aaron passed out some flyers out here for your wallet size emergency contact list, so you can write down what's your neighbor's name and phone number, what's your mom or aunt or sister or favorite cousin's number and stuff like that, so that if something happens to your phone, you have access to it.
Thank you. So we want to discuss what we see here in Dallas County, right? We see floods, we see hurricanes, and we often see tornadoes. And how to prepare for that is, what do you need in your emergency kit? Not just Band-Aids, right? You're going to have water. You're going to have food, perishable foods, preferably, right? You don't want anything that will spoil. You want to have at least some first aid kit, right? Bandages in case you get wounded. And then, of course, you also want to have at least a portable radio. So in case cell phone towers go off, power outages, if you can't charge your phone, at least you have some type of radio or some type of communication within the neighborhood. How many of us actually have a radio that we know of? Okay, so we all are good stuff.
Everybody who drives a car has a radio.
Yes.
You can keep it on medium Bluetooth all the time. Turn the Bluetooth off and listen to the local radio station.
Yes, that is the best information you can get. Now, if you have internet access and things like that, you can look on websites, but like I said, sometimes that internet access is kind of off. So how can you actually prepare yourself without any information? You're starting to educate yourself, right? And us coming out here to educate you in order to make sure that you are prepared for anything. Now, like I said, if a flood happens and you don't have that insurance, that's a different situation. But we're here to tell you and advocate for you, because the reason why we are here is to be in the community, to make sure you have this education. Every time we go around Dallas County, not a lot of us know what emergency management is and what it does. They don't even know Dallas County even has something like this, right? So we want to be out here. If you ever need our help, we are always here to help, and we're always here in the community. So.
The last thing I wanted to talk about was registering for your online resources that are available. If you live in the city of Dallas or any city that you live in, or if you are a Dallas County resident, you guys can go online and subscribe to those alerts so that you get those messages that says hey, tornado watch, hey, tornado warning, hey, this happened, like right now it's starting to get cold. Anytime it gets extremely cold or extremely hot, your emergency managers open up what's called warming centers and cooling those are all over, the county. There's like hundreds and hundreds of them. So at the time, I think you guys, before I moved to Texas, you guys had this strong freeze that knocked power out for weeks and everybody was freezing. 2021. During that time, there were warming centers all over the county, but the problem was that not enough residents were educated on where the warming centers were and who they were for. If you are a resident in Dallas County, that resource is available to you. You don't have to be on some, constrained income. You don't have to have a ride there. You don't have, if you are a Dallas County resident, a city resident, those warming centers are available to you. They're not the coolest, it's not gonna be like, the Marriott or nothing like that. But they'll have some cots there, they'll have heat, they'll have places for you to charge your phone. Red Cross or Salvation Army or Texans on a mission, maybe they're giving out food. But it's a place for you to be warm and for you, not to be in your car and things of that nature. We have people who perish because they turned on their cars trying to keep warm. So it's important that you all know that, there are warming centers. In the summer, there's cooling centers. If you know someone or you work in the unhoused community, there's also resources available for the unhoused community. But it's important that you know where to look for that information. So if you've never gotten on your City of Dallas Emergency Managers page, you've never gotten on Dallas County Homeland Security Emergency Management page, we urge you to please go on those websites when things happen, tune into the news and find out what resources are made available to you. Because you're missing out on free money, you're missing out on free resources. Like Aaron said, we had some storms that came in March that knocked out power. If you are underinsured or uninsured, you qualified for individual assistance. So during that time, all you have to do is show up at a disaster recovery center with, your insurance paperwork, your name, your social, and all those things, and apply. You could have even applied online. And based on your living situation and what your needs were and your proof that your food went bad in your fridge, FEMA would have given you an allowance, money to replace those things, to pay off your insurance. But if you didn't do the application, you don't get the money. So you have to know that the application is there. They gave out thousands of dollars during that time. They're still giving people money, just based off knowing what information that they needed to file, having their insurance, and if they were underinsured. And the important thing about that is that you can have insurance and still be underinsured. The cost of living is consistently rising. So you might have been well off and very well insured in 2020, but now in 2024, going into 2025, you're underinsured. You live in a floodplain now. You live, a less cost-efficient home than it was back in 2020 because that house lost value. So, and you don't know what you don't know. So we want to make sure that you guys register for those resources, know that those things exist, know what individual assistance is and public assistance. If you see something that says Dallas County has declared an individual assistance declaration, that means that the county and the city has asked the federal government to come in, provide monetary resources to the residents, all who are willing to submit the application and say that they were affected. But we can't do the work for you. So we want to encourage you, we want to educate you, and we hope that you've gotten something from this.
Guess we've got a few minutes. Does anybody have any questions? But this is a actual warming and cooling center. If you didn't know, this is designated as one. If you didn't know, yes. So if it gets hot, Thurgood Marshall will open. If it gets too cold, yes, then it won't be a warming center. Question? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to give you guys props. I worked with retail sales during the hurricane party, and we were all around. As well as
I appreciate that. I think for the most part, we don't do this for the amount of money. We really do this for the love of making sure our communities are feeling safe and prepared. So we thank you. We're on top of it. Well, we appreciate you having us in the time. If you have any more questions, just stick around and answer those. Thank you so much.